भगवते वासुदेवाय। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायणं नमस्कृतं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तम श्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी। हरिः ओम् तत्सत्। 3:21:14 ये मायया ते हतमेधसस्त्वत् पादारविन्दं भव सिन्धुपूतम् उपासते कामलवया तेषाम् राशीष कामान् निरये अपि ये स्युः। ये मायया ते हतमेधसस्त्वत् पादारविन्दं भव सिन्धुपूतम् उपासते कामलवाय तेषाम् राशीष कामान् निरये अपि ये स्युः। 3:21:14 reading. ये मायया ते हतमेधसस्त्वत् पादारविन्दं भव सिन्धुपूतम् उपासते कामलवाय तेषाम् राशीष कामान् निरये अपि ये स्युः. Word to word. Ye, those persons, Maya, by the deluding energy, they of you, Hata, has been lost. Medasaha, whose intelligence, Tvat, your Padaravindam, lotus feet, Bhava of mundane existence, Sindhu, the ocean, Potam, the boat for crossing, Upasate, worship, Kamalavaya, for obtaining trivial pleasures, Tesham, there, Rasi, you bestow, Isha, O Lord, Kaman, desires, Niraye, in hell, Api, even, A, which desires, you can be available. Translation by Divine Grace A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Shpopa Ki Jai. Your lotus feet are the true vessel to take one across the ocean of mundane science. Only persons deprived of their intelligence by the spell of the deluding energy will worship those feet with a view to attain the trivial and momentary pleasures of the senses, which even persons rotting in hell can attain. However, O my Lord, you are so kind that you bestow mercy even upon them. Please repeat. Your lotus feet are the true vessel to take one across the ocean of mundane science. Only persons deprived of their intelligence by the spell of the deluding energy will worship those feet with a view to attain the trivial and momentary pleasures of the senses, which even persons rotting in hell can attain. However, O my Lord, you are so kind that you bestow mercy even upon them. Purport. Prabhupada. As stated in the Bhagavad Gita, 7th chapter, there are two kinds of devotees: those who desire material pleasures and those who desire nothing but service to the Lord. Material pleasures can be attained even by hogs and dogs, whose condition of life is hellish. The hog also eats, sleeps, and enjoys sex life to the fullest extent, and it is also very satisfied with such hellish enjoyment of material existence. Modern yogis advise that because one has the senses, one must enjoy to the fullest extent like cats and dogs. Yet, one can go on and practice yoga. This is condemned here by Kardam Muni. He says that such material pleasures are available for cats and dogs in a hellish condition. The Lord is so kind that if so-called yogis are satisfied by hellish pleasures, he can give them facilities to attain all the material pleasures they desire, but they cannot attain the perfection stage attained by Kardamuni. Please mute your lines, please. Hellish and demoniac persons do not actually know what is ultimate attainment in perfection, and therefore they think that sense gratification is the highest goal of life. They advise that one can satisfy the senses at the same time by reciting some mantra and by some practice can cheaply aspire for perfection. Such persons are described here as Hatamedasa, which means those whose brains are spoiled. They aspire for material enjoyment by perfection of yoga or meditation. In Bhagavad Gita, it is stated by the Lord that the intelligence of those who worship the demigods has been spoiled. Similarly, here too it is stated by Kardam Muni that one who aspires after material enjoyment by practice of yoga has spoiled his brain substance. It is a full number one. Actually, the intelligent practitioner of yoga should aspire for nothing else but to cross over the ocean of nescience by worshipping the personality of Godhead and to see the lotus feet of the Lord. The Lord is so kind, however, that even today, persons whose brain substance is spoiled are given benediction to become cats and dogs or hogs and enjoy material happiness from sex life and sense gratification. The Lord confirms this benediction in Bhagavad Gita. Whatever a person aspires to receive from me, I offer him as he desires. I'll try to understand Prabhupada instructions and maybe a song of Prabhupada. ओम अज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः मूकं करोति वाचालं पङ्गुं लङ्घयते गिरिं यत्कृपा तमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरुं देवतारिणं परमानन्दमाधवं श्रीचैतन्येश्वरम् वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यस्य कृपा सिन्धुभ्यैव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे श्री चैतन्य मनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूप कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वापदान्तिकं श्री रूप गोस्वामी प्रभुपाद की जय श्री प्रभुपाद की जय Here we are going through between discussion between Kardam Muni and Swayambhu Manu, and then Kardam Muni is praying, offering prayers to the Lord, and here specifically called out about the importance of to meditate on the lotus feet of the Lord. And let's see what Srila Prabhupada says. Sanchintayed Bhagavatas Charanaravindam Vajrankush Dvaja Saroruha Lanchanadhyam Uttunga Rakta Vilasan Naka Chakravala Jyotish Nevi Rahat Mahat Drodaya Andakaram. The devotee should first concentrate his mind on the Lord's lotus feet, which are adorned with the marks of a thunderbolt, a goat, a banner, and a lotus. The splendor of their beautiful ruby nails resembles the orb of the moon and dispels the thick gloom of one's heart. Prabhupada is making this point and purport. A concrete description of the eternal form of the Lord is given here. The Lord's soul is depicted with distinctive lines resembling a thunderbolt, flag, lotus flower, and a gold. The luster of his toenails, which are brilliantly prominent, resemble the light of the moon. So that's why in Goswami's Namastaka prayers, see that as we sit and chant, sit straight and properly and attentively, one must hear. While hearing, we must feel that we are touching the toenails, the lotus feet of the Lord. Nikhila Smriti Rattamala Nirajita Padapankajanta Mukta Kulair Upasyamam Harinam Samsrayam. Oh, holy name of the Lord, I am taking your shelter of your lotus feet and your name. Let me always engage in your service. This is the mood. One must, that's why we shouldn't shake these beads. We should very slowly, meditatively, using your thumb finger, pull it down towards us. You are massaging the lotus feet of this should be our meditation. So that's why, unless we observe the lotus feet of the Lord when we take darshan of the Lord, we closely pay attention, meditate on that form, then we can't meditate like that while chanting. We will not be in that meditative, reflective japa. Mind will go somewhere else. So that's it's very important. As Prabhupada is making this point, and Prabhupada explains also in a class on this verse, Prabhupada is mentioning. It is not Nirvisesha, Nirakar meditation. What is that meditation? Here it is directed clearly. Sanchintayet means meditation. What about meditation? First of all, meditate on the lotus feet, Charanarvindam, lotus feet of Krishna. If you minutely see, then you will find the symptoms are there. Our feet and Krishna's feet, there is a difference. Why? Why difference? Because on the soul these marks are there. What is that? Vajra, Ankusha, Dvaja, Saroruha. Four things are there. Thunderbolt, mark of thunderbolt, Ankusha, the mark. What is that instrument which controls the elephant? Maybe whatever. So Ankusha, Vajra, thunderbolt, then Ankusha, Dvija, flag, Saroruha, lotus. These four things are there. You have seen sometimes Vishnu's lotus feet is painted, and these signs are there. So Sanchintayet, what about Sanchit? These things minutely that here is the lotus feet of Krishna, and on the soul, upon the soul, these marks are painted. Lanchanadhyam, deriving. It is very brilliant, beautiful. Krishna's everything is beautiful. Uttunga Rakta Vilasam Naka Chakravala. This is special significance of Krishna's hand that these nails are raised and reddish. Uttunga Rakta Vilasan Naka Chakravala. It is just a Chakravala bird, Jyotish Nabi, and from the effulgence of nails, Jyotish Nabi Ahata. If you see the brilliance and effulgence of the nails of Krishna, nails in the finger of Krishna, then the result will be Ahata Mahat Drodaya Andakaram. This material world, we are living in darkness. Our heart is dark. We do not know what is what. So if you simply concentrate on the lotus feet of Krishna as it is described, these are marks, then your Hridayandakaram, the dirty things, means darkness or dirty things that will be ahata or attacked, get out. Mahat means very great. This is our material condition that we are covered, absorbed in so many darkness. Still, we want to show some intelligence. This is material existence. Therefore, we always say fools and rascals. He does not know anything clearly and simply wants to see with imperfect eyes, imperfect instrument, microscope, telescope. What is the value of this? If it is simply andhakar, whole world this is called darkness. We experience every moment. If there was no sun, then what is the value of this world? We have got good experience. In the Western countries where there is no sun, it is hell, simply hell, without sun. All the condemned countries are devoid of sunlight. This morning we were speaking at London. It is without sunlight practically throughout the whole year. So in this Prabhupada is talking about how to one must meditate on the lotus feet of the Lord very much. Otherwise, it's very difficult to concentrate on the absorb and remove our material things. And that's the same thing Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself is talking about. Ainanda Tanuja Kinkaram Patitam Mam Vishame Bhavam Budau Krupaya Tavapada Pankaja. Clearly called out. Tavapada Pankaja. Stitaduli Sadrisam Vichintaya, where Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Thakur Prabhupada is giving commentary on this verse. The Jiva's object of worship is son of Nanda. Servitude to Krishna is present in Jiva's eternal nature. But when the Jivas, although servants of Krishna, remain indifferent to such servitude. Somebody asked, Prabhupada, what is this? Pada Sevana, what is this lotus feet means? Yes. Can't you understand? Simply offer water and simply offer the tulsi leaves. That is what Pada Sevana means. Always your menial servant. That's what lotus feet means immediately. That's why whenever in the morning we start with what prayers? Two prayers. Sri Guru Charana Padma, Kevala Bhakati Sadma. The lotus feet of spiritual master is the only way which by which we can attain pure devotion service. That's why we have to not only recite but read the translation. Earlier they used to read, nowadays no one is reading after singing this Sri Guru Charana Padma. So that we understand, not simply parrot reading, but we should understand what the meditation should be. Three times a day we are supposed to sing and meditate on the lotus feet of Guru and Krishna. And the same thing with Samsara Dava prayers. What is the last line? Vande Guru Sri Charanar Vindam. So unless we observe the lotus feet, unless we serve menially, Bhakta Bhakta Pada Avasesha, Pada Duli, as mentioned, three things must be always take the dust of the lotus feet of the pure devotee, take the remnants of the pure devotee, and take the water which will wash the lotus feet of the pure devotee. These three, by these three things, one can obtain the mercy. Without that, there is no possibility. So of really progressing further. Bhakti Siddhanta Thakur saying, then they flounder in the fearsome and insurmountable ocean of material existence samsara. In this condition, Bhagavan's mercy is their one and only support. Only when Krishna bestows his mercy and accepts the jiva as a particle of dust at his lotus feet. That's why Ekala Eswara Ara Sabya Bhutya. Except Krishna, everybody, including Lord Balram. And imagine what is our position. We are so minute. That's why here clearly the distinction is been made. Only when Krishna bestows his mercy and accepts the jiva as a particle of dust at his lotus feet is the jiva's covered eternal propensity again manifest. It is not the jiva's prerogative to ascend to Krishna's lotus feet by intensifying their own desires. Rather, the jiva should act in accordance with the Krishna's will and develop the propensity to serve Krishna. How will you know what is Krishna's will? What is his desire? When you follow Guru's order, then you will know. Then you will know what is actually. This is what it means. How do you know Krishna accepted your surrender? When Guru accepts, when you follow Guru's order, when Guru glances at you, when Guru gives mercy, when Guru gives you instruction, when you follow, when you satisfy him, when you please him, that is when you know that Krishna has accepted. Without Guru or pure devotee accepting a practitioner, Jiva or disciple, there is no progress. They can't be accepted by Krishna. So that's what we have to understand. It is not the Jiva's prerogative to ascend to Krishna's lotus feet by intensifying their own desires. Rather, the Jiva should act in accordance with Krishna's will and develop the propensity to serve Krishna. This is the purport of this verse. By the use of the word Padaduli, foot dust, the Jiva's nature of being a separated part of Bhagavan's is substantiated. Anarthas remain until the jiva becomes situated in their true nature. So that's why we time and again we keep talking about this lotus feet always, morning to evening. This is why. Because without coming to that menial servant position, there is no possibility for us to get out from this world. Anarthas will remain. In this stage, the purity produced by realization of the highest attainment, Paramartha, is absent in the Jiva. From the development of Sambandha Gnan arises the ability to engage in complete chanting of the name in divine love, Prem Nam Sankirtan. In that stage, Jiva is said to have developed attachment rati. There is a difference between the chanting of the name by a practitioner sadhaka who has not developed rati and that of a relisher of bhava who has developed rati. Deceitfully presenting ourselves like a devotee who has developed rati before our time is not beneficial. After the cessation of anarthas, anartha nivurti is constancy, nirantarya, in bhakti, then volitional effort to meditate on the Bhagavan's Leela, then the three stages of spontaneous flow, Leela automatically manifesting in one's heart, then the land of Prema. So, Sri Bhakti Siddhanta Thakur giving commentary on this verse of fifth verse of Sikshastram, explaining how important it is to be a servant, a menial servant of Guru and devotees, and then we can attain the lotus feet of Krishna. So we'll sing a song of Srila Prabhupada's one of the favorite songs. Vajahure mana Sri Nanda Nandana Abhaya Charanar Vindare Durlabha Manava Janama Satu Sange Tarohoye Bhava Sindhure Sita Atapa Bata Parishana Yedina Jamini Jagire Bifale Sevinu Krupana Durajana Chapala Sukala Bala Gire Edana Yavana Putra Parijana Ite ke Ache Parati Tire Kamala Dala Jala Jivana Talamala Bajahu Hari Padani Tire ಶ್ರವಣ ಕೀರ್ತನ ಸ್ಮರಣ ವಂದನ ಪಾದ ಸೇವನ ದಾಸ್ಯರೇ पूजन सखी जन आत्म निवेदन गोविंद दास अभिलाष रे. O mind, just worship the lotus feet of son of Nanda, which make one fearless. Having obtained this rare human birth, cross over this ocean of worldly existence through the association of saintly persons. Both in the day and at the night I remain sleepless, suffering the pains of the heat and cold, the wind and the rain. For a fraction of flickering happiness, I have uselessly served wicked and miserly men. What assurance of real happiness is there in all of one's wealth, youthfulness, sons, and family members? Same thing we see in Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Na dhanam, na janam, na sundarim, kavitam va jagadisha kamaye. Mama janmani janmani isware bhavatat bhakti rahaytuki. I want to serve you, not anything else, not wealth, not beautiful woman, not anything else. This life is tottering like a drop of water on a lotus petal. Therefore, you should always serve and worship the divine feet of Lord Hari through his representative, not directly. It is a desire and great longing of Govinda Das to engage himself in the nine process of bhakti, namely hearing the glories of the Lord Hari and chanting these glories, constantly remembering him and offering prayers to him, serving the Lord's lotus feet, serving the Supreme Lord as a servant, worshipping him with flowers and incense, so forth, serving him as a friend, completely offering the Lord one's very self. So that's why one must become like a bee. Bee is always attracted to the honey. Sri Chaitanya Padamboja Madhupebhyo Namo Namah Katanchid Ashraye Desham Swapi Tad Gandha Bhag Bhave. let me repeatedly offer my respectful obeisances to be like devotees who always taste the honey of the lotus feet of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. If even a dog is non-devotee, somehow takes shelter of such devotees, he enjoys the aroma of the lotus flower. That's why one must take. Even the dogs can be delivered by taking the shelter of his pure devotees. Otherwise, there is no possibility. Lord Brahma himself is also mentioning about this. According to Sridhar Swami, Lord Krishna's lotus feet are described as pallava, flower buds, because they are most tender and of a pinkish hue. According to Srila Sanatana Goswami, the pallava also indicate Lord Krishna's lotus feet are just like desire trees, which can fulfill all the desires of Lord's pure devotees. Even exalted devotees like Sri Narada, who are themselves the great shelter for conditioned souls in this universe, personally take shelter of the lotus feet of Lord Sri Krishna. Thus it is natural that when Lord Krishna manifested himself as young boy and calves of Vrindavan, their parents were more attracted to them than previously. Lord Sri Krishna is the reservoir of pleasure and being all attractive, the ultimate object of one's love. So that's why one must worship the Supreme Lord as per the lotus feet of the Lord. It is like the comparison is given like the root of the tree, we pour the water. The same way, so we must worship the Lord's lotus feet. As it is also explained that, oh friend, Vrindavana is spreading the glory of earth, having obtained the treasure of lotus feet of Krishna, the son of Devaki. The peacocks dance madly when they hear Govinda's flute, and when other creatures see them from the hilltop, they all become stunned. So Sridhar Swami explains that the in Vrindavan, the peacock requests Krishna, Govinda, please make us dance. Thus, Krishna plays his flute. They surround him in a circle and dance in time with the rhythm of his melody. While standing in the midst of their dancing, he also sings and dances. Then those peacocks which are fully satisfied with his musical performance, out of gratitude, offer for his pleasure their own divine feathers. In this usual manner of musical performance, Krishna gladly accepts these presentations and places a feather upon the turban top on his head. Gentle animals such as deer and does greatly relish this transcendental entertainment presented by Krishna. To get a good view, they flock to the peaks of hills. Then, as they watch the breathtaking program, they become stunned in ecstasy. Sri Sanatana Goswami comments in this that because in Vrindavana Krishna goes barefoot, can thus directly mark the earth with the symbols of his lotus feet. The transcendental land is even more glorious than Vaikuntha, where Vishnu wears slippers. So, so we can understand from all these various pastimes of the Lord how important it is to worship the Lord's lotus feet. Even the Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya is offering beautiful prayers. One of the prayers is also glorifying the lotus feet. ध्येयं सदा परिभवग्नम् अभीष्टदोहं तीर्थास्पदं शिवविरिञ्चनुतं शरण्यं भृत्यार्तिहं प्रणतपाल Vande Mahapurusha Te Charanarvindam. My dear Lord, you are the Mahapurusha, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and I worship your lotus feet, which are the only eternal object of meditation. Those feet destroy the embarrassing conditions of material life and freely award the greatest desire of the soul, the attainment of pure love of Godhead. My dear Lord, your lotus feet are the shelter of all holy places and all saintly authorities in the line of devotion service, and are honored by powerful demigods like Lord Shiva and Lord Brahma. My Lord, you are so kind that you willingly protect all those who simply bow down to you with respect, that you mercifully relieve all the distress of your servants. In conclusion, my Lord, your lotus feet are actually suitable boat for crossing over the ocean of birth and death. Therefore, even Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva seek shelter at your lotus feet. Where again in this verse, this is glorifying the Supreme Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's incarnation. Karabhajana Muni is described in 11th canto. In this word, Tirthaspada means the lotus feet of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu are the shelter of all holy places. As Krishna consciousness movement spread all over the world, we often find, especially in the poor third world countries, that it is very difficult for people to travel to India to visit most exalted holy places such as Vrindavan and Mayapur. Especially in South America, it is very difficult for a large number of devotees to visit such places in India and purify themselves. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is so merciful that simply by worshipping him, Vaishnavas throughout the world receive the benefit of having visited supreme holy place, namely the lotus feet of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Thus, there is no loss for the followers of Krishna consciousness movement despite their external situation. In South America, we have a lot of preaching going on. So many temples are there. by Srila Prabhupada's mercy. That's why we're also, Guru Maharaj mentioned that they're putting footprints of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in many temples. Mahaprabhu went so many places, but many places these lotus footprints are not there. We have in Tirupati and Mangalagiri where Lord Narsingh they performed his pastimes and few other places in Kerala, but not all places. So in Radhakund it has been established few years ago, working on establishing in few other places where Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went to put those lotus feet. It's very important. The word Dutyariham Pranatapal indicates that if one simply bows down without duplicitous nature at the lotus feet of the Lord Pranata, then the Lord will give such a sincere candidate all protection. So that is important. That means devotee must be simple. Out of 64 things Rupa Goswami mentions, one must be simple, not saying something outside and keeping inside something. This duplicitous nature will not allow one to progress in devotion service. This is not going to work. This verse does not mention that one need be an exalted devotee of the Lord. Rather, it is stated that if one simply bows down at the Lord's lotus feet, he will get all protection. Thus, it is also applies to anyone who is trying to serve the mission of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Even the neophyte will get all the protection by the mercy of the Lord. In the word Bhavabdi Potam, a suitable boat for crossing the ocean of material existence. There is a following statement by Lord Brahma and other demigods. Tvatpada potena mahatkrutena kurvanti govatsa padam bhavabdim. By accepting your lotus feet as the boat by which to cross the ocean of nescience, one follows in the footsteps of Mahajanas, can cross that ocean as easily as one step over hoofprint of a calf. According to Srila Rupa Goswami, the follower of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as Jivan Mukta, liberated soul. Thus, the devotee is not worried about his future destination, for he is confident that the Lord will quickly take him across the ocean of material existence. Such confidence is referred to the Upadeshamrita by the word Nishchaya, meaning firm conviction about the potency of the process of devotion service. According to Sri Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, the statement of Shiva Vrinchinitam is also understood to indicate that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is worshipped by Lord Shiva's incarnation Advaita Acharya and by Lord Brahma's incarnation Haridas Thakur. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is addressed as Mahapurusha, meaning Purushottama, the supreme personality of Godhead. So you can see in this way the glories of the such lotus feet are the actual eternal object of meditation because they cut off the bondage of material life and fulfill the desires of the devotees. Although conditioned souls are laboring arduously under illusory pursue many temporary goals in life, there is no possibility of their achieving actual bliss or knowledge. Such eternal bliss and knowledge is actually wealth. One should not neglect the lotus feet of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, taking him to be an ordinary person. Instead, accept the temporary, useless shelter offered by the illusory energy of the Lord. So this is the purport of this verse. So let's read. Ananda Lila May Vigrahaya Hemavadi Vicha Visundaraya Tasmai Mahaprem Rasapradaya Chaitanya Chandraya Namo Namaste. आजानुलंबित भुजो कनकावदातो संकीर्तनायक पितरो कमलाय तक्षो विश्वम्भरो द्विजवरो युगधर्म पालो वंदे जगत प्रियकरो करुणावतारो. We have only 1 minute. Let's read my few verses. One day the Lord went to the house of the weaver, and the weaver respectfully offered him obeisances. The Lord said, "Bring one nice piece of cloth." And the weaver immediately brought some cloth. The Lord then asked, "What is the price of this cloth?" The weaver replied, "Give me whatever you like." After settling the price, the Lord said, "I don't have any money right now." The weaver then said, "Oh Goswami, you can give me in 10 or 15 days. You take the cloth happily, wear it. You can pay me whatever you please." After mercifully glancing at the weaver, the Lord continued on to the house of a cowherd. Mahaprabhu sat down on his veranda and began to make fun of the activities of the Brahmanas. The Lord said, "Oh son, please bring me some milk and yogurt. Today I am going to accept a charity from your house." The cohort then thought Nimai looked just like a Cupid. They respectfully offered him a nice asana. They began to joke with the Lord and address him as uncle. One of them said, "Come, uncle, let us go and eat some rice." Then one of them took Nimai on his shoulder and carried him to his house. Another said, "Don't you remember how you previously ate all the rice in my house?" Although the cohort boys didn't realize it, by the grace of the transcendental goddess of learning Saraswati, whatever they spoke was true. Meanwhile, Nimai simply smiled at their words. All the Gopas then happily offered the Lord milk, ghee, yogurt, cream, and butter. After being satisfied by the Gopa, the Lord went to the house of the perfume merchant. The merchant offered his respectful obeisance to the Lord, who said, "Oh brother, bring me some of your best perfume." The perfume merchant immediately brought some of his best perfume, and Sri Sachinanda inquired, "What is the price?" The merchant replied, "You know, my dear sir, it is befitting for me to take money from you. Today you apply this oil and go home. If after taking bath tomorrow the fragrance still remains, then you may pay me whatever you like." After saying this, the merchant happily applied the perfume on the body of the Lord. The Lord is super soul of all living entities, therefore he attracts the minds of all, who is not attracted by seeing his beautiful form. Viswambar bestowed his mercy on the merchant and then continued on to the house of a florist. The merchant replied, "You know, my dear sir, is it befitting for me to take money from you? Today you apply this oil and go home. If after taking bath tomorrow the fragrance still remains, then you may pay me whatever you like." After saying this, the merchant happily applied the perfume in the body of the Lord. The Lord is the super soul of all living and therefore he attracts the mind of all, who is not attracted by seeing his beautiful form. वानिकेर अनुग्रह करी विश्वम्भर उटिलेन गिया प्रभु Malakara Gara. December bestowed his mercy on the merchant and then continued on to the house of the florist. When the florist saw Nimai's most wonderful form, he offered him obeisances and a place to sit. Prabhu bole, Bala Mala Deha Malakar, Kadi Pati Lage Kichu, Nahi ka Amar. The Lord said, "Oh florist, I would like a nice garland, but I have no money with me." सिद्ध पुरुषेर प्राय देखी मालाकार माली बोले किचु दाया नाही का तुम्हार. Appreciating that Nimai had the symptoms of a spiritually perfect soul, the florist said, "You don't need to pay." After saying that, the florist garlanded the Lord, who smiled in the company of his students. मालाकार अप्रति प्रभु सुबह दृष्टि करी Utila Tambuli Gare Gauranga Sri Hari. After casting his merciful glance on the florist, Gauranga went to the house of the beetle nut merchant. तांबुली देखाये ये रूपे मदन मोहन चरणेर दूली लाई Madilena Asana. The merchant saw Nimai's form as more enchanting than that of a cupid. He took dust from Nimai's feet and offered him a place to sit. The merchant said, "It is my great fortune that you have come to my house, insignificant as I am." In full satisfaction and without being asked, the merchant then offered a betel nut to the Lord, who smiled. The Lord then said, "Why did you give me a beetle without payment?" The merchant replied, "I was inspired to." The Lord smiled on hearing the merchant's reply and he chewed the beetle nut with great satisfaction. The merchant then devotedly offered Nimai some pan, camphor, and other spices free of cost. After blessing the merchant, Gora smiled as he continued wandering the streets of Navadip. This is the best way to serve. Without instructing, without ordering, someone is offering thing that means they understood the desire of the Lord. This is the best first class servant quality. And the city of Navadip was just like Mathura. Millions of people belonging to different castes lived there. For the pleasure of the Lord, the Creator had previously supplied Navadip with all opulences. The son of Sachi now enjoyed the same pastimes that Krishna had previously enjoyed while wandering in the streets of Mathura. Thereafter, Gaura visited the house of a conch merchant who offered the Lord due respect. The Lord said, "Dear brother, let me see some beautiful conches. But alas, how will I take? I have no money." Just then the merchant placed a beautiful conch in Nimai's hand and offered him obeisances. "Oh Gosani, take this conch home with you. You may pay me later or not, it doesn't matter." Pleased by the words of the conch merchant, the Lord glanced mercifully on him and departed. In this way, the Lord visited every house in Navadvip. For this reason, even today, the residents of Navadvip attain the lotus feet of Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda. तबे इच्छामय गौरचंद्र भगवान सर्वज्ञेर गरे प्रभु करेला पयान. The supremely independent Lord Gaurasundara then went to the house of an astrologer. देखिया प्रभुरा तेज से सर्वजना विनय संभ्रम करीला pranam. As the astrologer saw the effulgence of the Lord, he humbly offered obeisances. प्रभु बोले, तुम्ही सर्व जाना बाला सुनी बोलो देखी अन्य जन्मे की चलान आमी. Lord asked him, "I have heard that you are a good astrologer. Could you please tell me who I was in my previous birth?" The pious astrologer agreed to the Lord's request and began to chant the Gopal mantra within his mind. Shankha Chakra Gada Padma Chaturbhuje Syama Srivatsa Kaustuva Vakshe Maha Jyotir Dhama. At that moment, the astrologer saw a beautiful blackish personality with four hands holding the conch disc club lotus flower. His chest was decorated with Srivas and brilliantly effulgent Kaustubhajam. He saw the Lord in person in the prison cell being offered prayers by his parents at the dead of night. He then saw Vasudeva carry the Lord that night in Gokula. The astrologer again saw the Lord as an enchanting two-armed naked child with a string of small bells around his waist and butter in his two hands. The astrologer saw his worshipful Lord decorated with all the symptoms that he had meditated on. He then again saw the threefold bending palm of the Lord playing on his flute, surrounded on all sides by the gopis, who were singing and playing various musical instruments. पुनः देखे त्री बंगम मुरली वदना चतुर्दिके यांध्र गीत गाय गोपी गणा देखिए अद्भुत चक्षु मेले सर्वजना गौरांगे चाहिए पुनः पुनः करे ध्यान. After seeing the wonderful vision, the astrologer opened his eyes and saw Gauranga standing before him. Then he again entered into meditation. सर्वज्ञ कहाये सुना श्री बाल गोपाल के आचीला द्विजा यही देखाओ सखाला. The astrologer said, "Oh Balagopal, please listen. Quickly show me who this Brahmana was." तबे देखे धनु धनुर्धरा दुर्वा दला श्यामा वीरासने प्रभुरे देखाये सर्वजना. The astrologer then saw the Lord with a greenish durva grass complexion, holding a bow in his hand and sitting on a royal throne. पुनः देखे प्रभु रे प्रलय जल माजे अद्भुत वराह मूर्ति दंते पृथ्वी साजे. Thereafter he saw the Lord in the middle of the waters of the devastation. He had the wonderful form of a boar. He held the earth on his tusks. He then saw the Lord as Narsimha. Although he appeared most ferocious, he was the ultimate well-wisher of his devotees. Puna deke tanhare vaman rupa dhari bali yajna chalite achena maya kari. Next he saw the form of Vamana, waiting to deceive Bali as his sacrifice. He then saw the form of Matsya happily sporting in the waters of the devastation. The pious astrologer then saw the intoxicated form of the Lord Balarama holding a plough and a club in his hands. He next saw the form of a Jagannath. Puna deke Jagannath Murti Sarvajana. Madhya Sobe Subhadra Dakshine Balarama, with Balarama on his right and Subhadra in between. He Matta Iswara Tattva deke Sarvajana. Tatapi na buje kichu hena maya tana. In this way, astrologer saw the Lord's various incarnations, but due to the Lord's illusory energy, he was unable to ascertain the meaning of what he had seen. चिंतये सर्वजना मने हय्या विस्मिता हेना बुजी ये ब्राह्मण महामंत्रविद. The astrologer was struck with wonder and thought, I think that this Brahmana is expert in chanting of mantras. अथवा देवता कोन आशीय कौतुके परीक्षिते अमारे वाचले विप्र रूपे. Otherwise he may be a demigod who has come disguised as a Brahmana to test me. I see a supernatural effulgence emanating from the body of this Brahmana. Has he come to discredit me? The Lord smiled and asked thoughtful astrologer, who am I? What did you see? Tell me everything in detail. The astrologer said, you please go home for now. I will tell you everything in the afternoon after I peacefully chant my mantra. So smiling, the Lord agreed to the astrologer's request and went to the house of his dear devotee Sridhara. Sridhara was very dear to the Lord's heart. The Lord would therefore visit him in various pretexts. Lord would tease Sridhara in the course of their regular conversation, which would last for an hour or two. When Sridhara saw that Nimai had arrived, he offered him obeisance and place to sit. Sridhara was always peaceful in his behavior, while the Lord enjoyed playing the role of an agitated young man. The Lord said, Sridhara, you always chant the names of Hari, so why are you always afflicted by poverty? Can you please tell me why, after serving the beloved Lord of Lakshmi, you do not get sufficient food and clothes? Sridhar replied, at least I am not starving, and whether small or large, I am still wearing some cloth. The Lord said, but I see your cloth is mended in 10 places, and the roof of your cottage has no straw. Look at other people, they worship Chandi or Vishahari, so they have no scarcity for food or cloth. Sridhar then replied, O Brahmana, what you say is indeed correct, yet the time passes equally for everyone. The king has jewels in his house, he eats opulent food, meanwhile the birds live in trees. Yet time passes equally for everyone. As they will enjoy the fruits of their previous activities, they will, by the will of the Lord. The Lord then said, you have a great wealth that you are secretly enjoying. I will soon disclose this to everyone, then how will you cheat us? Sridhara said, O Pandita, please go home now. It is not proper for us to argue. The Lord said, I am not going to leave you so easily. First tell me what you will give me. Sridhara said, I maintain myself by selling leaf cups. So tell me, what can I give you, Gosani? The Lord said, let your hidden treasure remain for now. I will take that later. For now, give me some bananas, banana flowers, and banana stalks free of charge. Then I won't argue with you. Sridhara thought that this Brahmana is very aggressive. I am afraid that one day he will beat me. But even if he beats me, what can I do to a Brahmana? At the same time, I can't supply him free of charge every day. Anyway, whatever this Brahmana takes by force or decoy, this is my good fortune. So I will continue to give him every day. Thinking in this way, Sridhara said, listen, Gosani, don't worry about money. I will happily give you some bananas, banana flowers, leaf cups, and banana stalks. But please don't fight with me. The Lord said, good, then I won't fight anymore, but see that I get good quality bananas and banana stalks. The Lord daily used Sridhara's deep cups and he ate sabjis made from Sridhara's plantains, banana flowers, and banana stalks. Whenever a squash grew on the roof of Sridhara's cottage, the Lord would eat it, cooked with milk and black pepper. Wow, milk and black pepper. Squash. The Lord then said, probably this is pumpkin or Loki. The Lord then said, tell me, what do you think of me? After you answer, then I will go home. Sridhara replied, you are a Brahmana, a portion of Lord Vishnu. The Lord said, you don't know. Actually, I am from a Gopa family. Although you see me as son of Brahmana, I consider myself as a cowherd boy. Sridhara smiled at the Lord's word, but due to illusory energy, he could not recognize his Lord. The Lord then said to Sridhara, let me tell you the truth. The glories of your Ganga are due to me. The Sridhara replied, Nimai Pandit, aren't you afraid of insulting Ganga in this way? One is supposed to become sober as he grows up, but I see that your restlessness has doubled. After joking with Sridhara in this way, Lord Gauranga returned to his home. Sri Gauranga, Gaurasundar sat down at the door of his Vishnu temple and his students all returned to their homes. As Nimai saw the full moon one night, his heart became absorbed in the mood of Sri Vrindavana Chandra. Apurva Murali Dhwani Lagile Harite Abai Ara Keha Paya Sunite. Nimai then began to play a flute in the most enchanting tune, which only Mother Sachi could hear. When Mother Sachi heard the sound of the flute which attracted the three worlds, she fell unconscious in ecstasy. After a while, she regained consciousness and steeled her mind studied her mind as she continued listening to the wonderful sound of the flute. Sachi then noticed that the enchanting sound of the flute was coming from the direction where Nimai was sitting. Mother Sachi came outside in astonishment and saw that her son was sitting at the door of Vishnu temple. She could no longer hear the sound of the flute, but she saw the full moon on the chest of her son. Seeing the moon on the chest of her son, she was struck with wonder and began looking around. Mother Sachi Mother Sachi then went back inside and began to think about the reason for such a vision. In this way, the most fortunate Mother Sachi saw unlimited manifestations of opulence. One night, Sachi heard hundreds of people singing and playing musical instruments. By the sound of dancing various wind instruments, she considered that a grand Rasa Leela festival was taking place. One day, all she could see was a brilliant spiritual effulgence permeating her house. On another day, she saw many divine women who all held lotus flowers in their hand, resembled the goddess of fortune. One day, she saw a effulgent demigod, but when she looked again, she couldn't see them. It is not astonishing that Sachi had such visions, for the Vedas describe her as the personification of devotion service to Lord Vishnu. Whenever whoever receives the merciful glance of the Mother Sachi becomes eligible to see such opulences. In this way, Sri Gaurasundar, who is a non-different from Lord Krishna, lived in Navadvip incognito while relishing his own ecstasy. Although the Lord manifested his opulence in various ways, his servants were still unable to recognize him. The arrogance that was sportingly displayed by Nimai was unmatched throughout Navadvip. The pastimes enjoyed by the Lord are supreme in all respects. Whenever the Lord desires to fight, he becomes the topmost hero, and no one can surpass his prowess with weapons. Whenever the Lord desires to enjoy conjugal pastime, he manifests millions of beautiful women. Whenever the Lord desires to enjoy opulence, he fills his servants' homes with millions of oceans of wealth. In this way, the arrogant nature now manifested by the Lord immediately vanished when he accepted the path of renunciation. At that time, not even fragment of such renunciation and devotion that he manifested could be found throughout the three worlds. Is this possible for anyone else? The activities of the Lord are supreme in all respects, but it is his nature to accept defeat at the hands of his devotees. One day, Nimai, along with 5 or 7 students, was walking down the main road. Nimai was dressed like a king. The yellow cloth that covered his body made him looked like just like Krishna. As he chewed the betel nut, his face resembled millions of moons. People who saw him inquired, "Is he Cupid?" His forehead was decorated with tilak, and his hands he carried some books. A glance from his lotus eye destroyed all sins. Lalate tilaka urdhva pustaka sri kare drusti matre padma netre sarva papa hare स्वभावे चंचल पदयार वर्ग संगे बहु दोलाया प्रभु आयुषेन range. As the restless natured Lord walked along with his students, his arms swung back and forth. And by providence, Srivas Pandit was coming from the opposite direction at that time. Upon seeing the Lord, Srivas began to laugh loudly. Nimai offered obeisance to Srivas, who blessed Nimai by saying, "Live forever." Srivas smiled and inquired, "Oh, best of the arrogant, where are you going? Why do you uselessly waste your time by not worshipping Krishna? Why do you spend day and night simply teaching mundane knowledge? Why do people study? Education is only for understanding devotional service to Lord Krishna. Therefore, don't uselessly waste your time any longer. You have studied enough. Now you should worship Krishna." Nimai smiled and said, "Listen, Pandita, that will certainly be done by your mercy." After speaking in this way, Mahaprabhu smiled and departed for the bank of Ganga, where he met his students. Sri Satchidananda then sat on the bank of Ganga with his students surrounding him on all sides. I could not describe the beauty of that scene even if I had millions of mouths. There is no comparison in the three worlds. I cannot compare that scene with the moon surrounded by stars because the moon has spots and it also waxes and wanes. This Lord, however, is eternally complete and spotless. Therefore, a comparison with the moon is unjustified. I cannot compare Nimai with even Brahaspati because Brahaspati is partial to the demigod. Lord, however, is partial to everyone, and therefore a comparison with Brahaspati is also unjustified. Now, can I compare Nimai with Cupid? Because if Cupid appears in one's heart, then heart becomes agitated. When the Lord appears in one's heart, however, all one's material bond is destroyed and his heart becomes pure and happy. Therefore, all the comparisons are improper, but there is one comparison that I can think of. Just as the son of Nanda enjoyed his pastime sitting among the cohort men on the bank of Yamuna, that same Krishna in the form of Brahmana now enjoyed pastimes sitting with those same cohort boys on the bank of Ganga. Whoever saw the Lord's face as he sat on the bank of Ganga attained indescribable happiness. Seeing the Lord's extraordinary effulgence, everyone on the bank of Ganga began to whisper one another. Someone said, "As an ordinary human who does not have such effulgence." Someone else said, "This Brahmana is a portion of Lord Vishnu." Another said, "I think he will fulfill the prediction that a Brahmana will become the king of Gauda, but he has all the symptoms of a king." In this way, everyone spoke according to their understanding. Meanwhile, the Lord pointed out faults in the other teachers as he engaged in explaining scriptures on the bank of Ganga. Nimai established correct statements as incorrect and incorrect statements as correct. Then, after refuting all other explanations, he again established the proper meaning with new explanations. The Lord said, "I consider a person learned if he is able to discuss with me. Who has the power to refute me by establishing a different explanation?" As the Supreme Lord exhibited his pride in this way, he smashed the pride of all others. The Lord then had innumerable students who studied in groups under his direction. Every day, 10 or 20 Brahmanas boys come to offer obeisance to the Lord. They would say, "Oh Pandita, we wish to study with you. Please be merciful so that we may learn something." The Lord smiled and said, "Good, good." Thus, the number of his students increased day by day. The Lord of Vaikuntha would sit amidst the circles of his students on the bank of Ganga. Fortunate people watched from all sides, and by the influence of the Lord, the entire city of Navadvip became free from lamentation. Who can calculate the good fortune of the pious souls who saw those pastimes? Just by seeing a pious soul who has seen those pastimes, one is freed from material bondage. My sinful birth did not take place at that time. Therefore, I was cheated from seeing those pastimes. Still, O Gaurachandra, please be merciful to me so that I may remember those pastimes birth after birth. Wherever you and Nityananda perform pastimes with your associates, may I be present there as servant. Accepting Sri Chaitanya and Nityananda Prabhu as my life and soul, I, Vrindavan Das, sing the glories of their lotus feet. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu ki jai, Sri Nityananda Prabhu ki jai.